Hi, my name is Swank. I did my internship this spring with Dr. Kim Parsons at NOAA Northwest Fisheries Science Center, which is based in Seattle. And so I looked at genomic signatures of population health in a critically endangered marine predator. And so for my project, I was interested in the southern resident killer whale, which is a population of killer whales that lives in the Salish Sea. And so that includes the Strait of Georgia, which has the coastlines of Vancouver, and the Puget Sound, which has coastlines of Seattle. And so they live in this very urban habitat, and they have a very long conservation history with human interactions. And in the most recent population census, their population size was down to 74 individuals. And so there are three major threats that have been the focus of conservation work in the past several decades. The first is their prey availability. So 70% of this population's diet comes from Chinook salmon, which is also an endangered species. And so there's been a lot of efforts to increase the abundance of Chinook salmon. There's also a lot of toxic contaminants, as you can imagine, with a lot of urban runoff and the huge shipping industry that happens there. So there's been a lot of efforts to regulate the amount of runoff that can occur in the water. And then there's also a lot of boat traffic, whether that's shipping industry or through tourism, such as whale watches. So there's been regulations put in place to limit the interactions or the distance that boats can have in relation to the killer whale populations. And so, despite all of this research and effort that's gone into conservation of factors that are extrinsic that may be impacting the southern residents, we're still seeing stable population size that is much lower than what we'd like to see. And so, my project is looking more at intrinsic factors that could be impacting the southern residents, such as their genetic diversity and specifically genetic diversity of genes that regulate the immune system. So having genetic diversity of these genes can increase a population's resilience to disease and their ability to detoxify contaminants in their blood or food. And specifically, I'm interested in a family of immune genes called MHC genes that are highly conserved across cetacean species. And when I look at the genetic diversity of these genes, I see that southern residents are very distinct from other populations of killer whales, including the other populations of the Northern Pacific. And I also see that individuals that we see with early mortality usually have a similar genetic background. And so these results are going along with other previous studies that have found high levels of inbreeding depression in this population, which is a result of mating between closely related individuals that can reduce the survival, fitness, and reproductive success. And these results taken together can suggest that survival of southern residents may become dependent on other killer whale populations of the Northern Pacific. And with that, I just like to thank Dr. Parsons for having me and for teaching me a lot of really cool bioinformatics, and for Urban and BU for my support this semester. Thank you.